Salutations, one and all. How
Up,
we all
everybody?
doing tonight? All right, we got a lively bunch in here already. Let's see who we got in here. We have Sarah Edgel, we have Queen, we have Just Your Average Jen, To Do List Studios. How we all doing this fine evening? All right, we got everything rocking and rolling here on all these platforms. Everything looking good. Sweet. Well, welcome everybody to a, I guess, special episode of Dudes and Belts Recharge here on Twitch, YouTube, and Rumble. I am your host, Johnny Deathdrop, and we got some interesting stuff to talk about tonight. We get to go back a little bit in the past, kind of like what we did on Sunday, except on Tuesday. Before we get into everything that we saw and our conversation going into next week, let's introduce the panel for this evening. On the left, we have the one that lives way up there on the east coast of Maine, the inventor of the Beacon of the Week, the one and only Coastal Crusader.
What's going on, everybody? And like Johnny said, we're going to go back in time a little bit, but it's all cyclical. It all comes back. We're going to see a lot of faces from then. We're going to see next week, too.
Oh, why are you coming up quiet on my end? That's interesting.
I don't know.
There we go. Okay, we got it. Let me just double check your volume here. Bring you up to 100.
Double
And
checking my mic here.
oh, that went loud. Okay, there we go. We're good. And on the right, he is the voice of Charge, one of the voices of Charge. As a matter of fact, you heard his voice tonight on this special edition of Rocky Mountain Pro programming here with the fans' choice of Shocktober, the one and only KD.
Guys, I'm glad to be here. Great to look at some Shocktober's past. Always one of my favorite shows. And the next one for 2023 is coming up very, very quickly.
All right. Well, let's not waste any more time here. Let's get right down into the nitty gritty here. We obviously had a special this evening. We took a week off at Charged, and we had a little bit of a fan's choice special. And it's everything that happened in Shocktober in years past, big matches, favorite matches. And we'll start off with what we saw tonight. Danger Dean, who we will see next week going up against Curtis Cole, who we also saw this evening as well for the RMP Championship. He took on Ronan in a casket match or a coffin match, however you want to pronounce it. What year was that? Was that like 2015-ish, 16?
I want to say maybe 14.
It was earlier. Okay. It looked like it was like
I'm not entirely.
It was there at the beginning.
Positive.
I just can't remember.
I'm not exactly entirely positive.
No, but
right.
We see Dean a
We've
couple
had so
times.
many Shocktobers, I forgot.
We see Dean a couple times tonight. This is one of them, and he's definitely got things he can take away from watching these back because he's not victorious in either one of these matches, and not this one to begin the night. He winds up on the losing end, but what he needs to take away is this is a lot how Curtis Cole is going to be: mean, nasty, vicious, will take liberties when he needs to, much like Ronan was in this match, all over Dean like white on rice on a paper plate. He was just all over him from bell to bell, didn't let him breathe. Even when Dean got some offense in, it was just like hitting a brick wall over and over and over again. And Curtis Cole is going to have that big chip on his shoulder like a brick wall. And lately he has been finding ways to be invincible, if you will. So Dean's going to take a look at this and be like, okay, this is the animal I'm getting on the other side of the ring is very similar. What can I look at from this, and what can I use on Shocktober this year?
KD, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, no. Quick plug for you guys though, but you're gonna want to watch the rewind. You're gonna want to watch Charged when the dudes do their rewind, so you can see the entire story leading up to this casket match. Probably one of the most entertaining things we've ever seen. Dean gets bit by a vampire and believes he starts becoming a is trying to remind himself that he doesn't have to drink blood, that he can eat pizza and pie. So make sure you're watching the rewind because it is absolutely hilarious
Is that why Samuel
how this
Dell was
match
throwing
comes together.
garlic out of his fanny pack?
But yeah, no, we're gonna see Dean. You caught that?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the garlic in the fanny pack and the garlic. Yeah. So yeah, no, but it was a good match. We enjoyed it. It was one of our favorite ones. You didn't get this, unfortunately. Dean put in the cat, and the lights ended up going out. And when they came back on, the referees opened worried, where is Dean at? And he reappeared, but it was definitely a different person.
All right. Well, I mean, looking back at it now and kind of looking at where he is now, I mean, now he's currently the president of Rocky Mountain Pro, and he won the Colorado Cup, and now he finds himself in the main event once again. First time in I don't know how many years since the last time he main evented a big show like this. Um, Looking back at what Dean was doing back then to now what he's training for in about a week and a half from now, do you think watching all this footage from back in the day, and especially the match that we're going to be talking about next, the Fatal 4-Way match for the NRW Championship between Stinson, Dean, Ashburn, and Cole, um, I feel like between that Ronin match and this Fatal 4-Way match, I think now granted a lot of things have changed since then, but um, you think that Dean could possibly find an advantage in going back into these matches and seeing any type of flaws that he used to do back then, and maybe he could take his flaws or the mistakes that he took back then and use them in this match coming up in a week and a half?
I mean, yeah, but I think what he needs to look at is seeing the evolution of not only himself, but Curtis Cole. In this four-way match, Curtis Cole shows us exactly what he's been doing. He's an opportunist. That's how he wins this match. Hits that huge blockbuster off the top when really everybody kind of forgot about him. They were too busy all each other. Dino didn't get pinned in this, so it's kind of one of those things where it's like, did he really lose? He didn't take the fall, but either way, to answer your question, Johnny, yeah, there's plenty of things Dino can look at, do the film work, do film study, if you will, and look at what he could fix from these. But I think it's more important for him to look at maybe what his opponent Curtis Cole in this four-way match has evolved into. Because when I'm watching it, I'm saying there's a lot of early signs of a lot of these moves in here and how Curtis kind of conducts a match. And these guys that have their set ways, they've been around for a while, like Curtis and Dean both. Sometimes you pick up on some tendencies. So maybe a little film study, see if you could pick up on some of Curtis's tendencies.
Do you think he still has those tendencies?
We all
This
have
is
our
also
little habits. We all have our
you
little
also got to
habits.
remember this is like 8 or 9 years ago too, so it's been a while since these two have actually competed in a big match situation like this. Katie, any thoughts on this upcoming main event coming up next week and what you saw tonight that could be utilized in honestly either man's advantage going forward? Obviously, you've been around longer than any of us. You've been basically a day one guy. What's going to be? How should I say this? How do you anticipate this main event turning out compared to what you saw tonight? Do you think it's going? You think it's going to be maybe different styles? Maybe bringing back the old Dean or the old Curtis Cole in these matches. I think Katie's on a delay
yeah.
too, so it's going to take a couple seconds.
I think. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm still currently trying to figure out why it's doing this.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
No, I think you're gonna have to. I think Curtis is gonna have to. I think Curtis is gonna have to bring that old Curtis Cole out. Um, but in a way mixed with this new Curtis that really doesn't give a damn. It's Curtis that doesn't really care what anybody else thinks about him. But that old Curtis Cole that we're used to seeing when he was the RMP champion previously, he kind of had a devil may care attitude. He didn't seem to really mind putting his own body on the line. When it came to going after opponents, he would use his own body as a weapon. Sometimes he would take two to get one. That's not the Curtis Cole we're seeing right now. We're seeing a more, what's the word I'm looking for? A more calculated Curtis Cole. And if he can somehow find a way to mend those two, then that's something Dean's got to really look out for. Dean hasn't been an active competitor in a long time. And even though he's training, and it's kind of like riding a bike, but there's something to be said for being out there all the time, constantly, week after week, and not being out there week after week. So Dean needs to really focus on that and then kind of expect, cliche as it is, expect the unexpected out of Curtis Cole. Because, like I said, if he can meld those two characteristics, then we've got a very dangerous champion on our hands, as we've seen.
As we saw in the main event of semi-main event of NRW, when he took the title off of Drake in that grueling match.
Mm-hmm.
And he's able to go to that extent if he has to. He's proven it. We've seen it. Kind of like what you said when Curtis Cole would put his body at risk in certain maneuvers and certain times. And although this is a very different Curtis Cole than back then, I honestly think he's more dangerous now than he was back then. And I know back then he was only about like a year, 2, 3 years tops into the wrestling business at that point. This man has really
maybe a year and a half to 2.
Yeah, this man has been through some wars during his career, and as we saw at NRW, that basically culminated in his years of experience and was able to defeat Drake for that Rocky Mountain Pro Championship in that fashion too. I mean, it was definitely tough to see from a fan's eye.
That's for sure.
Yeah. We saw a side of Curtis that we didn't think was even in there. And I know he's been a jackass as of late, and we all know the history over the past 6 months of Curtis Cole, but to see that side of Curtis Cole, that I would probably be very worried on Dean's side if that Curtis Cole comes out again. Go ahead.
Let's not forget Curtis has also been wrestling with a broken finger for months. Due to his schedule and what he does, the way he does things, it hasn't been able to heal. So the man's walking in there in a consistent amount of pain as it is, which is already going to piss him off. And then you add in the fact of he's been competing with it and he just doesn't care. Like when he walks in the building, you ask
it doesn't
him
phase him.
Doing, he usually ends up showing you a different one. So no, it doesn't. It doesn't phase him at all. So yeah, no, that's a very interesting thing for Curtis to do.
I think the biggest thing I saw tonight, the difference is Curtis Cole, we saw tonight, let his emotions control him. He now controls those emotions. And you're right, Katie. He goes out there and he's already in an amount of pain, which makes him, pissed off. He uses that stuff and takes it out on you. He's like, my finger hurts and I'm going to make you pay for it. And that's what he's doing now. That is the most dangerous. He's able to make his own discomfort your discomfort on multiple levels, mentally, physically, nauseatingly. He does this.
All right. Well, let's take a break from Curtis Cole and Danger Dean because we're going to be talking about them quite a bit in the upcoming days, and we will be having Danger Dean join us on Sunday night for one of
Mhm.
our membership only streams. So make sure you are up to date with your memberships for this month, and you will be able to come into chat and chat with Dean and ask Dean as many questions as you want during the course of the stream. And maybe, and we mentioned it like a couple weeks ago. Maybe we're gonna have a little bit of a state of RMP with Danger Dean as well, because there has been a lot of questions in the RMP faithful about what's going on within RMP since Danger Dean has been out of action in terms of running his role as president of Rocky Mountain Pro, and obviously there's been a lot of chaos. We've all seen it. So he'll be answering questions about that as well as his main event match coming up in about a week from Thursday. But let's talk about something that we saw later on. We lost Katie. Abaddon versus Holodead.
Yeah, this was only in RMP will you see in a casket match with these two very interesting individuals beating each other senseless, dragging Holodead, dragging Abaddon to the casket, and all of a sudden it opens and poof, there's a puff of glitter. I did not expect to see glitter in this match. I really didn't. And then the way Holodead was able to, persevere, take a beating, and then issue a couple of beatings and stack them both in the casket and be victorious here was awesome to see. Again, you never know what you're going to see at Rocky Mountain Pro. You go to see the living dead girl Abaddon, and then all of a sudden there's glitter. It's interesting, Johnny.
All right. Sorry, computer decided to flip me the Curtis Cole. I'll be right back.
Okay.
um,
Curtis is hacking his computer.
But yeah, obviously Abaddon coming from Rocky Mountain Pro has made her way into the mainstream side of wrestling as I believe is she still contract with AEW?
Yes. She
Yeah.
is contracted with AEW. She's actually healing, I believe. She was hurt for a little bit. I think she had a shoulder issue.
Okay. So she came from here, and she's in AEW right now. Best wishes to Abaddon in her career and everything that's going on with her. And yeah, it's just a nice little bright spot. A few people from RMP has been able to make that stride into the mainstream side of wrestling, and Abaddon is one of those unique individuals that was able to do it.
We saw
rather quickly too, because I think she was only training for like a year and a half, 2 years max. I think.
Yeah, no, she went down there, and it was right around pandemic time. And when you get a person that has an entrance like that and a presence like that, when that's all you have to focus on, there's nothing, there's no other crowd noise. That's you could be successful when you acquire or demand that much attention from people.
Yeah, I believe she actually vacated the Lockheed Championship during that time when she got the call. So,
and it's happened other places. We saw Sam Udell. We know that he was on NWA and Ring of Honor. We saw him earlier in the night, and of course our buddy Otis over in WWE right now. We love you, Dose.
All right, but here is one that is definitely making headwaves and is continuing to make headwaves over now as we are about a week and a half away from whatever hell is about to happen at Shocktober. We had Mercury Gain going up against Damon in the first match of their saga that just concluded at NRW a few months ago in the first endurance match. If you recall, the NRW match was an ultimate endurance match. It was the same, but with different rules, as the ultimate endurance match had periods where in the first endurance match, each combatant had to record a pinfall, submission, count out, and knockout. We saw how Damon was able to go about this match against Yaden, and obviously this match ended in a draw. But going into Shocktober of this year, this is going to be a very different kind of circumstance, as Damon is now the NRW champion, and his opponent Simbodi is definitely looking forward to whatever hell he's about to unleash on Damon. And at the same point, we heard from Damon last week on Ignition of his intentions and his mindset going into Shocktober as well. Watching this match against Mercury, and then what we could expect in a week and a half from now. Um, what are your thoughts? Obviously, on this match, we covered it live on our Do's and Belts review show. You can go back in the VODs and look at it. It's there if you want to review the entire pay per view of Shocktober from last year. But taking this match and looking forward to next week, what are you guys expecting out of Damon Ace in this upcoming match against Simbodi?
Oh, what a difference a year makes, isn't it? We look at this now, and Damon is now essentially switched places with Yaden. He is the champion. He is the one being hunted. So, in my mind, Damon needs to watch this match again, but he needs to envision himself as Yaden because it's very similar. Yaden is the champion. He is looking to defend that title, much like Damon is, and there's a very aggressive person on the other side of that squared circle coming at you full steam, as Sid Bodie no doubt will be, as Damon has made this quite personal. I think Damon really needs to go back and see what Yaden did here that helped him retain. I know it was a double, it was a no contest ruled that way, a draw. But what did he do to negate the aggressiveness that Damon had? And then on the other side, Damon can look and say, okay, what's coming at me? What would I do in this situation? I know nobody thinks like Sin Bodhi, but we've said many times that Damon's violently intelligent. So I think there's a lot that he can learn from watching himself and thinking, okay, if I'm going to do this, what's this sick guy going to do? Like, I think Damon is one to definitely take things out of experiences.
Katie?
No, I agree. I think I think this is Damon's match to lose. Honestly, it's nothing against against what he's done. Um, he was always seemingly playing from behind when it came to Damon Ace, just due to one, the mind games, two, Damon seemed to be perfectly fine putting them in matches that longevity wise would factor into his well being more than Mercury's. I mean, you can look at it, there's no denying it. Mercury is not who he was when we started this company. Neither are any of us. You can look at the gray in my beard and see that. But Damon seemed to be able to use that and use that to his advantage. When it comes to Sin's a different breed. Sin does not seem to get winded, if at all. He seems to have this extrasensory ability to continue to go, and that's something I don't think Damon Ace is used to when it comes to NRW title matches. When he's wrestling on Ignition, Charged, yeah, he's around his own age. We're used to that. But when it comes to somebody like Sin, he could be taking it a little too lightly. That Sin just doesn't get tired. Hopefully he doesn't, because if he does, this is Sin and a ultimate endurance. As we saw tonight, it's essentially a Iron Man match with a time limit, or actually with no time limit. So it's some would say it's even harder than an Iron Man match. You've got to be able to get, all 4 falls or victories, and it doesn't matter how long it goes. So he could go to that. He could go to the dog collar match. He could go to First Blood. He could go to whatever he wants. But I have a feeling Sin is prepared for absolutely anything. Like we said on Recharge last week, the amount of boxes that are shipped to the Wimmer do not stop. There's stuff coming in. A
Is
lot
it
of it's
still coming
heavy.
in?
A lot of it sounds dangerous. A lot of it sounds like a bunch of metal. And if I'm Damon Ace, I am. Oh yeah, it's coming. It's still coming. So we'll have to see what those boxes contain. What Sin's got up his mind. You know, we've seen matches at RMP that we're not used to seeing. We're used to seeing things out of the mind of some psychopaths, and I have a feeling this is going to be probably the most extreme we've ever seen. If those two have their way, we'll have to see what Damon says. We'll have to see what Damon picks. Who knows? But if Sin gets to use his little, toy box, I guess you can call it, this is about to be a very dark, scary time for the NRW champion.
All right, quick shout out to old man Jarrus over there on Twitch. How you doing? Yeah, and then we're gonna talk a little bit more about Shocktober coming up because I mean, as of right now, we only have a couple matches confirmed, but there's definitely some outlying issues that could possibly take place at Shocktober as well that we'll kind of touch on real quick. But before we get into all that and other stuff, because we do have to talk about a couple of important things that are coming up down the pipeline as well. Let's go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back in a couple minutes, and we will continue our discussion about Shocktober.
Don't miss a moment of Rocky Mountain Pro action with options that suit your tastes and needs. Check out new episodes of Charged and Ignition. Interact with your favorite stars and personalities, all for free. Subscribe on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick, or follow us on Rumble. Upgrade to the pay-per-view membership on YouTube and don't miss out on any past and present special events and episodes of Charge with more content added all the time. Check us out on any of these platforms and search RMP Wrestling to get more pro wrestling elevated.
Gregory Rise locked into this time. He catches all of it. World's prettiest elbow. You saw it here on Charge. And the ring couldn't even take the impact. No. What a frog splash.
Hey.
All right, so let's kick it back a little bit here. We have a couple matches that are confirmed as of right now, which is the NRW Championship match and the Rocky Mountain Pro Heavyweight Championship match. We briefly talked about these matches again. We're going to talk about these matches some more in the coming shows leading up to Shocktober. Let's talk about some other outlying issues that have been going on. And a lot of it is part of the reason why a lot of people are questioning Danger Dean right now and focusing on his match rather than focusing on RMP at the moment. The whole situation with Brew and Echo and everything that's going on with Balaam as well. Obviously, saw a little bit of Balaam again towards the end of last week's episode. And I still cannot. I mean, I understand that Brew is with Echo, and now that Echo knows that Brew has decided to align himself with Echo, he's not too much, I guess you could say, worried about Balaam at the moment. But every single package that we see towards the ends of these episodes really start to concern us, at least, that Balaam's about to go off the deep end of some sort, and there's no precautionary measures from Echo or Brew towards Balaam at the moment. Do you think this is a smart idea for Echo to just ignore Balaam and just continue trouncing along RMP and causing havoc?
Smart? No. Does he think it's a safe bet? Yeah, I mean, he's got a 300-pound plus buffalo watching his back for him. That, as we've seen, seems like he's pretty much going to do anything that he can to show that he's got Echo's back. So I don't think it's a smart thing, but I think that he believes it's a safe thing to do. I think with Balaam right now, what we're seeing is, I mean, the hunts go according to plans. You got to lay that plan out. You just don't go out in an area and look for something to kill you. Stalk the area for a while, pick up scents, figure out tracking habits. Right now, Balaam is tracking his prey. He's watching, he's learning, he's encompassing himself fully with Echo. Echo should be worried because he's being stalked, albeit from afar, but the Wildcat has not forgotten.
And Katie, I guess your take on whether or not Echo's right now making a mistake and not worrying about Balaam and what Balaam could do to Echo and Brew, technically.
He's absolutely making a mistake. There's no question about that. Timer, the minute he hit that super kick on Shark. The stupid thing that Echo's not doing is he didn't take that bomb and put it in someone else's house. He let that bomb, currently ticking away, he's left it in his living room, and he's letting it tick down. If I'm Echo, I'm very afraid, and maybe there is some fear in him that we're not seeing. That bravado might be false. We don't know. Brew, I don't think is afraid. I don't think Brew's really afraid of anybody.
Given his size, it's very hard for anybody his size.
100%. And I think, I think if Echo is smart, he will try to get ahead of this if he hasn't already. Because once that time bomb hits to zero, it is going to explode. It's going to take Echo, it's going to take Brew, and it might just take all of RMP with it.
Well, we're certainly curious on what Balaam's going to do, if Balaam even has any involvement in Shocktober whatsoever. Again, time will tell. But we're going to talk a little bit more about Echo and Brew again later on, because I'm sure that they're going to be wreaking havoc on Ignition before Shocktober and Charge. I want to kind of mention something from what happened last week on Charge that could play into effect in the tag team division. Well, actually, two things. One, CBD and Dalton seems to be a formidable tag team going forward if they end up staying in this team. What is the possibility about possibly seeing, if they continue to go on a roll, CBD and Dalton become the number one contenders, whether it's Shocktober or maybe no Thanksgiving down the line? Do you see them being formidable opponents for Chopper City?
If they can keep their egos in check, absolutely. That's a big ask for a guy like CBD. I think the problem is right now, aside from Chopper City, that tag team division is a bit in turmoil. We got desperately seeking Susan over in Lord Mitchell Taylor, trying to find a tag team partner as much as he wants. Doesn't want Derek Stone to be his tag team partner. And really, other than that, it is these two guys. Dalton and CBD are the only other tag team we have seen really embrace everything.
Well, you got Smoke and Mirrors too.
But let's take a look at when Smoke and Mirrors went up against Dalton and CBD. I think we can move them out of the equation right now. For now, I believe this tag team has, jumped above them. But here's the problem: and you see it. CBD, let's face it, is an egomaniac, and Dalton's big, strong, and if you make him angry, he doesn't care. He indiscriminately just takes people out, which could be CBD. So it's kind of very combustible. So Johnny, to answer your question, I don't know if it's soon, but I think it's down the line if they can stay cohesive.
And KD.
No, let's face it. You don't just walk in here and get a tag team title shot. Anyone who's came in here knows that. So, do they deserve one? Not yet. Not in my opinion. You beat one team, and let's face it, Mirrors is like watching Pinky a tag team title shot just yet. But I don't make the rules. Maybe they'll be granted one. Maybe they won't. I don't know. But if they do get a title shot above some of these other teams, specifically somebody like Echo and Brew, I think there's going to be hell to pay when it comes to those two. So, would they be formidable opponents? Absolutely. As I said last week, and this is just my opinion, if Dalton is smart and he sticks with CBD and he starts to use some of those tricks that CBD has been using, I think you have a very solid tag team on your hands, and that could easily rise to the ranks and easily become contenders for those tag team titles. Does one win a championship contender make? Not in my opinion. But we've seen it time and time again. Sometimes that does happen. Not a lot of solid, formidable teams. And hopefully that changes. We've got Queso and we've got Camacho coming up. Those guys are very young, but they've got a lot of heart. And those two I could easily see contending for the tag team titles down the road. So, I think if they got the shot, it would be great for them. Maybe not great for the RMP faithful, but we'll see what comes following Shocktober.
All right, and we also did, and Coastal mentioned Lord Mitchell Taylor not too long ago during this conversation. Last week, we actually saw a face-to-face between Derek Stone and Lord Mitchell Taylor. I don't know how far along Derek Stone is to being ready for in-ring action. It's got to be close. He's been out for a very long time from that knee injury that he suffered. If these two ended up, and this is all on Lord Mitchell Taylor, because Derek Stone made it perfectly clear that he's the guy that wants to team up with Lord Mitchell Taylor and how loyal he was during this time. Do you see Lord Mitchell Taylor and Derek Stone, if they do end up trying it out one more time, are they going to be a force in the tag team division, or do you think that this friendship is just too unstable where neither one of them will be able to coexist, mainly on Lord Mitchell Taylor's side over Derek Stone? But we've seen Derek Stone and his mental capacity at times. He's not the most stable one either, but at the same time, he's showed some very loyal qualities throughout the course of the past couple months to Lord Mitchell Taylor. Do you think it's a thing? You think it's a good thing for the tag team division, or do you think that these two should just stay separate and just have them go on their separate ways?
Johnny, I will tell you this, in my opinion, if they are on the same page and Lord Mitchell Taylor is willing, these two pose probably the biggest threat to Chopper City to take those belts off them right now. You have all the experience. Let's face it, they're both big guys. They're going to be hard to move around, and Derek Stone could run through a brick wall if you ask him to. He'll make a new Kool-Aid Man-sized hole in the wall of the Wimmer if Lord Mitchell Taylor says that's what we need to win the titles. So, I mean, you got a guy that is just a Sherman tank wearing a 70s carpet on himself, looking great doing it, by the way. And he's adamant. He wants another shot. I think he knows he's getting towards that sunset. Let's face it, Derek Stone isn't the youngest guy on the roster. I think he wants some gold before it's time to hang the furry boots up.
What do you think, Katie?
not only with Coastal, I'll add to it, if Derek Stone and Lord Mitchell Taylor can become a cohesive unit, you will see them with tag team titles. Straight up, period, stop. Uh, we know Derek how he can be on the outside, but watch when he's in the inside of the ring. Watch when he's focused. A focused Derek Stone is a dangerous Derek Stone. Lord Mitchell Taylor knows all the ways to cheat and knows all the way to bend those rules almost until they break. You have two solid veterans like that, it's hard to compete against. And as much as we love Chopper City, as much as I love Bossy, and as much as I love the Dragon, I don't know if they could actually contend with those two when they're cohesive and 100%.
Wow, that's a bold statement, Cotton.
I agree.
I mean, Katie brought up the experience too between Lord Mitchell Taylor and Derek Stone. You got to remember, Derek Stone was around the WCW days. I mean, he was employed by those guys at one point. He's got what, over 30 years of experience in that squared circle, I do believe, or close to that. And then
he said it on there. It says you're not going to find somebody with 30 years of experience here.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you're
Be lucky to
that
find
was part of his argument.
somebody.
Yeah.
two guys with 30 years experience.
At least
together.
that has 30 years of experience. You might find somebody in the area with 30 years of experience and they're wheelchaired down to the ring, or you're going to have to dig them up.
Yeah, I mean, bringing up some good, interesting points. And Lord Mitchell Taylor and Derek Stone, whatever they decide to do in the near future, I think will have an impact. I think we're just kind of anticipating the return of Derek Stone in the ring. He's been out for a while. We miss him in there, and hopefully it's very soon that we get to see him re-debuting back with RMP in the squared circle, fresh from his injury and all set and ready to go. And whatever future holds for Derek Stone. One last thing before we kind of get into a couple topics that we do have to talk about before we sign off this evening. There is also, besides the tag team championships not having a match at the moment, which that's probably going to change next week. But the Lockettes Championship is also not on the card at this moment for Shocktober. I think that's going to change as well. There's only been a few Lockettes that's been shown on Charge recently, and that's between Noelle and Lola. If it's going to be one of these two Lockettes, who do you think poses the biggest threat to Adrian Mascara and her Lockettes Championship?
Well, after their last match, I got to go with Lola, because Lola's the biggest thing we've always said about Lola is, when does she get it done? When does she finally win the big match? She has been a bridesmaid perennially. It started way back when I first started watching this at Aces Wild when she had a backpack match against the mom. And it's just, she's been on the short end of the stick each time. The reason I'm saying that she's the most dangerous one is because now she's done waiting, and it seems that she's taking what means she needs to win now. We saw it with the notebook from Preston, whether that was her idea, his idea, she seemed to like it. So this is a different Lola, and I think if it's either one of those two, Lola poses much more of a threat to Adrian than Noelle would.
Katie?
I agree, 100%. I checked under the bed before I got on here, so I know that Noelle's not under there, ready to come out and snack my neck for this. When it comes to those two, no question, Lola, that's for every reason that Coastal said, especially the fact that she seems like she's done caring. We've seen her use Preston's book. We've seen her do some underhanded things. We've seen a little bit more of a mean streak coming out of Lola, which personally I like. I liked that Lola has decided I'm done waiting and I'm going to take what I want. If she's given the opportunity at Shocktober, I'm not going to say we have a new champion. I would say Reagan's or excuse me, that title ring is in the biggest jeopardy since she's held that title.
All right. We know that Lilith Grimm's in the background somewhere, but we haven't seen her in about a month. And chances are she's, nursing and healing up. I see her being a big threat to the Lockett's Championship once again, whenever that happens. And of course, you got to think, even though we haven't seen her since Milestone, Christy James is another one. There's another name that could easily come back into the fold, or JC, whatever happens. And there are a few other Lockettes, like Malaya Hosaka could come back and make a run for the Lockettes Championship. You just never know. Shocktober, it's in the name. Shock and awe. You just don't know who's going to show up. So even though we haven't been talking about these names in the past few months, don't be surprised if, RMP decides to pull a fast one and brings out a name that no one's seen in months or years. Again, it's in the name, Shocktober, man. You just never know. Maybe that. Go ahead.
Two quick things, if I can. One, without Dean, it seems like Dean's, like we've said, has completely negated his role as a president. Who's making these decisions? Who is running the day-to-day operations of Rocky Mountain Pro? I would like to know, because I would like to know who I have to pitch the idea to. Why not? We just a playbook or a playbook around 0405 somewhere. We don't give them food and water for a whole night, and we put them in the ring, and we have a good old-fashioned Monsters Ball. Why not we just do that? Let's just let all four of them have it out. Let all four of them just beat the hell out of each other, and the best woman walks out with that Lockett's Championship. If it was up to me, but there's probably that entails the reason why I probably don't run things.
I don't know if the Wimmer has the insurance for that. They're going to break all kinds of stuff.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we might be able to ask that question and many more coming up, because Danger Dean will be joining us live this Sunday for our membership-only live stream, specifically on YouTube. So make sure you are re-upping your subscriptions and memberships, so you will be able to partake in the festivities that's going to be happening with Danger Dean. And again, we're probably going to do some sort of a state of RMP through his mouth. He might be able to answer a majority of your guys' questions. What we're talking about right now is one of those questions that could be asked on the stream, and he will answer it from his mouth live in person. So make sure you have your memberships all read up. Me too, because God forbid. Because then that means we're going to get kicked off of YouTube, and we don't want that. All right. The serious matters, I guess, for a little bit, at least for a few minutes. All right. So there's been a lot of talks behind the scenes of us, RMP, everything that's going on. It's been a hell of a 2023. It's been a good one. Obviously, we're not done with 2023. We still have Shocktober. We have no Thanksgiving. And then it'll be our time to shine with our Peak Awards that we do every year. This year will be no exception. As a matter of fact, this year the fans get to vote on the winners, so that's going to be a huge difference. We're going to be trying that out and see how that goes. I'm still kind of working on the details on how we're going to pull that one off, but it'll happen regardless at some point. But there is the future of the content here on Rocky Mountain Pro. Now, unfortunately for everybody on Twitch and YouTube, it is with heavy heart that the Dudes and Belts, unfortunately, will not be on YouTube or Twitch after October 24th. Wow. Well, anyways, we're going to be moving platforms, and the only platform that you will be seeing Dudes and Belts content will be on Rumble. The Dudes and Belts are going to be moving over to Rocky Mountain Pro on Rumble exclusively starting October 31st, Halloween. So October 24th, no, not 24th, that would be, no, the 29th will be our last Dudes and Belts show on YouTube and Twitch. We're going to be moving over exclusively over to Rumble. Okay? That's that. We got a month. We'll let you guys know the details and all that stuff. Bear with us here for a second. We're going to be branching out the content for all the platforms. So YouTube is going to be the home for Charge, Ignition, and the premium live events. The Supercharges, the Shocktobers, the Milestones, all that stuff. That's staying on YouTube for now. Twitch, on the Rocky Mountain Pro side, is going to be exclusively for gaming, as a matter of fact. There are going to be some RMP talent that are going to be streaming exclusively on the Rocky Mountain Pro Twitch channel from time to time, and you get to interact with them over on Twitch. So it will be a rare little thing that everybody over on Twitch will be able to enjoy whenever Rocky Mountain Pro goes live over on Twitch. The brunt of everything is segregating the content so that each platform has a little bit of a different flair of Rocky Mountain Pro, because we have so many platforms. So we've noticed that a lot of the wrestling has been great over here on YouTube. All right. Stats wise, view wise, whatever you want to call it. It's been great on YouTube. Rumble has been very kind to the dudes. Very kind to the dudes. So that's the whole point of moving us over there. And it also gives the dudes a little bit of leeway to come up with different content for you guys as well. So we're not impeding on all the wrestling of Rocky Mountain Pro. We're not throwing you curveballs or anything like that. It's going to give us the freedom to be more creative over on Rumble. It's going to give Rocky Mountain Pro and the wrestling and the live shows a little bit more leeway in their creative process. And Twitch is going to be that platform where you get to interact and hang out with either myself or say like Echo or Yaden or anybody else, or KD if he wants to. If he wants to stream over on the Rocky Mountain Pro Twitch channel, he can do that and interact with you guys. That's going to be more of a personal one-on-one thing with actual RMP talent over on Twitch. So that's the reason for the move. There's going to be other changes that are going to happen as well in the near future. You will all be known either by social media or one of these shows. And we'll keep you guys informed on everything. As far as the premium live events goes, I know that's been a big thing. And I know there are people that prefer their own platforms. They just think one platform is easier than the other one. Ideally, at least on the Rumble and YouTube side, we're trying to find a way to air the pay-per-views and the premium live events on those two platforms simultaneously. Twitch is the one that would be giving us the hardest times because their tier system is a lot different than Rumble and YouTube's. So we're currently trying to find a workaround for that. Ideally, we're going to have hopefully all three platforms streaming the pay-per-views and the premium live events all at once. So whatever platform you prefer, that is what you guys, whatever you guys want to watch the pay-per-view on, that will be your platform of choice. But as far as like the individual content, Charge and Ignition on YouTube and any uploads like Match of the Week and all that stuff, dudes are going to be strictly on Rumble. If there's anybody in chat that can post a Rumble link, would be greatly appreciated, so we can start the process there. And Twitch, obviously, as well. If anybody in YouTube, Twitch, or Rumble wants to post all the links to all these social media accounts, feel free. And at least any of the mods. And yeah, that's going to be what's coming up at the end of next month. Other than that, there'll be more info on the Peak Awards once we get closer. We're still a few months out from there. And KD, I don't think RMP has anything going on for RMP Live this week.
Just Ignition on Thursday.
All right. So other than that,
so also I guess we can say on Wednesday AEW will be in Broomfield. I do believe several RMP stars have been invited to. So who knows if or whatnot? We don't know. However, last time saw Balaam Linkster. So it's, RMP has been very, very lucky to have a great relationship with AEW. So we'll see if that continues this week. And we're hoping so. But yeah, Ignition on Thursday, and then full bore next week for Shocktober.
You guys still have the normal scheduled events coming up next weekend? Your tour that you do during the weekend and all that stuff? Like Ramiro's and Snowpack, is this the last month for that?
Have to look. I know we have Charged following. Let me check real quick while I have you here. Do you think I would have done the schedule graphic? You think I'd remember this? We do. We have Shocktober the 5th, Charge taping at Bierstadt on the 6th. Ramiro's and Snowpack. This will actually be the final Ramiro's and Snowpack for the year of 2023. So make sure you're out there. 4 dates in a row. We said Shocktober, TV tapings at Bierstadt, and then Snowpack and Ramiro's Saturday. It'll be the last time we're up there for the year. So come check us out. Come see what we're all about. Make sure you come check out Shocktober next week. It's going to be as they always are. And then Friday night at Bierstadt. You never know what's going to happen on Charge. You never know who's going to show up. You never know what's going to happen. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Just show up. That's all I'm saying.
It's free, for God's sake, and there's beer. So
good beer too.
Very good beer.
Beer's not free, but it's beer.
The show's free. The show is free.
The show's free.
All right.
Show's free.
So that's going to wrap everything up. Again, I know it's a weird announcement. It was weird when I heard it too. Don't worry about it. But it's for the better, and we're going to get you guys all involved. We're going to get you guys up to date and get you guys on all these different platforms. Everything's basically run the same with notifications and the whole 9 yards. So everything's going to act the exact same way. It's just going to be on different platforms. Again, it gives us, everybody involved, more creative room to be able to do more things on each platform, which I think is for the betterment of everybody involved in RMP and its continued growth, because it's been growing pretty quickly this year compared to where we really started digging into YouTube back in almost a year from now, actually. Anything coastal from you?
No, just excited for the change. Hey, you just tell me where to be and I'll be here.
um, Katie, any final words before we sign off?
Nope, just looking forward to Ignition Thursday, and we're looking forward to our hectic week next week. It's going to be a good one, though. Those 4 days, they go by fast. They're a lot of work, but man, are they fun. So if you can,
Yes, I hope.
if you're in the area, come down to Shocktober on Thursday. Come down to Pierstadt on Friday. Come to Romero's on Saturday and Snowpack on Sunday. And yeah, just keep watching, keep checking everything out. It's great. If you're not in the area, make sure you order the show on YouTube, and you're about to be in for a hell of a night.
All right. Again, before we sign off, make sure you follow RMP Wrestling on all socials for any up-to-date information on the change and everything that's going on with us. You will be informed there as well, so just make sure you follow Twitter, Facebook, or X, whatever you want to call freaking Twitter nowadays. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those socials. You'll be up to date on what's going on, and you should be all set by the time the end of the month rolls around. Other than that, folks, that's it. For myself, Johnny Deathdrop, Ghost Crusader, Katie, we will see you guys on Thursday for another episode of Dudes and Belts Reignited with Marky Pins. As always, folks, stay safe, stay classy. We'll see you on the next one.